There will not be a part 3 to this series of the 56B1 Motorola radio. This has been a lesson in aggravation, mainly because I can't trace out a printed circuit board very well. Some parts of it I can, others I can't. However, I went through all the steps. Powering it up with the ICO 950B, which did not power up the B+. I don't know why. The radios don't draw that much current. But I fed in 95 volts, which is what the schematic calls for, off the selenium rectifier. And as soon as I connected it up, it pulled it down to 10 volts. I had a milliamp meter in series with it, and the needle didn't even move, and the meter is good. So the ICO 950 is not able to develop the current needed to supply a simple battery-operated radio plate B+ supply. So what I did, and I have this all on video, but I formatted the camera. I'm not using those clips because it was over 6 gigabytes in length. And it was a lot of aggravation in there, so I'm not going to present that video. So what I did is I powered it up with my Variac isolation transformer and very carefully monitored the current. There was no current draw on this, because this meter here does not read under 100 milliamps, this one here. When it gets around 100 mils, it'll show. So, even though it didn't show any current, I did get audio out of this. So the volume control and everything, I'm getting audio, no radio. And there's probably something wrong with the oscillator coil, or a break in the PC board. I looked very carefully. I couldn't find any cold solder joints. They all look good. But there's been a known problem with these double-sided boards. I cannot work on it. As I said, if I had known this was a printed circuit radio, I would not have gotten it. However, the book calls for 117 volts going in and 95 volts on the selenium rectifier output. I get 100 volts at the selenium rectifier output when I bring it up to 115 volts. So I did not go above that. So with 115 volts going into this, and 100 volts coming off the selenium rectifier instead of 95, it's 5 volt different, no big deal. There is no hum on the radio, which means filter capacitors are fine and do not have to be changed. The filter capacitor was ice cold. The audio was strong, but no radio. Just a little static when I connected up the bar antenna to the two terminals on the radio. Like I said, I spent quite a few hours working on this and made videos, but we're not going to put them up. So, we can't deal with, it's probably got an open oscillator coil. All the tubes test good. All of them test good. So it is not a tube. It's most likely oscillator coil's open or there's a break in the printed circuit board. Because I cannot get the knobs, I have feelers out there, but no luck. So what I'm going to do is We're not doing this radio. We're going to move on. However, when I get the extra money, I'm going to ship this radio free of charge to one of my favorite YouTube radio repairmen. I didn't tell him he was getting it, unless he watches my videos. So, I know it doesn't have the knobs. I'm sending it to him as a gift, and I do not want it back. It's not necessary to send it back. Maybe you can get the knobs. I don't know. But that's what I intend to do. It's a nice radio. If you can get the knobs, and you got better eyes than I have, probably a lot more patience than I have, I'm sure of that, judging from the work that you do and the quality of work that I have seen him do. I would think that he'd be able to get this going. I had my doubts about being able to fix this anyways because it's printed circuit work. So we're going to concentrate on the other two radios, but not right away. So there is no part 3. Now, even if I had a power supply, and I need to build that power supply, but I cannot and will not build a power supply in a plastic box or even a wooden box. When I get my power supply built, it's going into a piece of equipment cabinet like this. I want it vintage. I don't want it on a piece of wood, transformers and wires coming off of it. So the ICO 950, as I found out, can't deliver what little current these tubes take. I don't know what they take. The B Plus probably maybe 30, 40 mils. I don't know. It can't be all that much because the battery would die in no time. The B battery would be dead. So it can't be very much. Maybe only 10 or 20 mils. I find it hard to believe that the ICO 950 can't put out 30 or 40 milliamperes at 95 volts, but obviously it can't. Now, there's probably a limiting resistor in there. However, I'm not messing around with it. To modify it, I will make a power supply eventually. And when I do, I want it variable 0 to 450 volts. I'm not worried about this complicated regulation stuff and all that. I can make it variable by using a variac and vary the primary voltage of the power transformer that I use, and just crank it up and monitor the current and the voltage on panel meters. So until I get something like that made, I really can't supply a radio with any B+. But I didn't think I'd have a problem with the ICO on this. Hopefully, he can get it going, make a video of it, and maybe he can get knobs, but I don't want it back. I do not expect it back. When I send something out to somebody as a gift, I do not want it back. So that's it, folks. To be a shelf queen is not going to happen because I don't have the knobs. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll move on.